they fade away or you lose them. And I do think that this is a universal experience. I'm convinced of it now more than ever.
Agreed. Agreed.
Every time you share a story of how you've lost a friend, how they faded out, how there was no closure, how you don't know what happened, how you never got to talk about it, somebody else is like, girl.
Yep.
Girl, I know.
Yeah.
Or I've been there.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It is also kind of a grief and a rupture that people don't talk about naturally and doesn't get the same prominence as a breakup, for example, because it's not recognized as the same level of loss. In the past couple of years, there have been a number of successive blows, and they've hit me harder than perhaps they would hit others, and I have to recognize that, and we can talk about RSD in a bit. They are cumulative and compounding, I think in this case is the way that I look at it. I think that if the loss of some of the friend group happened in isolation and wasn't sort of part of this cascade, it wouldn't be what it is. But I also think that the fight is in here. And I'm pointing at my head. This is the fight.
Yeah.
It's you versus you. Welcome to Sex Ed Before Bed. This is, I believe, episode 18. I don't really advertise this podcast, so if you found this, we're glad you're here. Normally, this show, my name is Bex Nava, she, her. Normally, the show is about me interviewing someone else. Someone with lived experience or an expert of some kind, and being on that learning journey along with you, the listener. Today, we're turning the tables, and I'm in the hot seat. Never been in the hot seat before. And I chose as my interviewer, my sister, Isabeau, she, her. I thought very few people know me as well as you do. And I trust you to the moon and back. Shout out to Artemis. Listen, reins over to you.
I'm really excited to be here, and I think that we're going to have a lot of fun. I think that your listeners will want the opportunity to get to know you better, which is why I think it's such a great idea to do this. Really introduce yourself to your listeners.
I came out in 2023 in the context of being in a relationship. We'll call her Sloan for the purpose of this. I mean, we can start there if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sloan came with their own sort of community, built-in queer community, which I think was something that you were looking for at that time. If memory serves, it led you to build your own queer community. Tell me about how important that is as an experience for, as some would call it, like a baby queer. Having a community when you're
baby gay. Yep.
is important
100%.
because they show you
100%
the way.
They reflect back to you.
Yeah.
What you are. Even just having other queer people say that you are and recognize that you are, being in those spaces together, talking about fashion, talking about how, for example, the signals that we send out to tell the world that we're queer, it reifies the experience you're already having, and so it fortifies that budding part of your identity. And there's research on this that just shows that chosen family, queer folks, in some cases, because of what we were alluding to before, where there's been some ostracization in the family or rejection or discrimination, lean more heavily on their friends. And so the friends can become more like a chosen family. I think it's distinct in that way. Certainly, I think that I've had close friendships before. It's not to say that, but these friendships were also close and meaningful in this particular way.
Yeah. So tell me about your experience of building that queer community.
I mean, I think it happened over time. I had been going through experiencing the breakup with Sloan, and after that, I was really pretty set on, that was my focus. I wasn't focused on getting into a romantic relationship. Pretty quickly, over a number of weeks, there were just a number of people that I met at events or through friends that I remember there was one night I invited all 4 of them over, and it was their first time all meeting. We played a board game together, and there was just a click, a 5 connect click, in terms of the humor, the teasing, the playfulness, the laughter, and it's like music when it happens like that. And so you could look at a group like that and say they've known each other for a while that night.
Yeah.
So then we went out dancing, and it was just one of those perfect Toronto nights. And then it just goes from there.
Yeah.
Really, then there's more events and, birthday parties or going away parties or whatever the case may be. You have the group chat and you're just cheering each other on or checking in or whatever it is.
As someone who has finally found their queer community and it has clicked so efficiently, how does that make you feel?
I like that we're talking about efficiency, but I need the reports.
I need the statistics, please.
I need to know how we did in Q1.
Yes. I would like a quarterly report. We provide this to our shareholders, I hope you know. So it needs to be, yes.
Get me the prospectus.
We'll circle back on that later. We'll put a pin in that.
We have to. I think that I was grateful. I was grateful for it. I was proud. I was proud that I was able to build this thing. And then it took on a life of its own where people are fostering their own relationships with each other in the context of the group. So it brought me a lot of joy, really. And I saw it as germane to the coming out process and germane to the identity formation or settling into it further. Because as I said before, it reifies that identity formation. So it felt really good. It felt, you feel that you are seen and known. And that others in the group feel the same. So people in the group would say, I never had this. Even if they'd been out for a long time. But they never had this and they always wanted it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And they would say, thank you so much for bringing us together.
That's amazing. I love that.
Belonging. What is, meaning, what we want to belong. Humans, we naturally want that. I don't take that time for granted. And it was, at that time, I had a pride party, a coming out party, 50 people, which was a huge celebration. And really, I was very much in that euphoric, exploratory stage where it felt quite expansive. Really felt that this is a new dimension, a dimension that has emerged that was always there, and let's celebrate it.
So you build this queer community, and then what happens?
So, as sometimes happens in these situations, there was a romantic situation that cropped up. I became close with one person from the group, and it was a really rewarding friendship that was deep and profound, that didn't feel short. It was coming up short. And even I remember there's another book on friendship that I'll put in the show notes. She does an amazing job talking about how we don't talk about friendship enough. We talk a lot about romantic relationships, expectations, and repair and rupture in a romantic relationship. And in a romantic relationship, there are scripts and there are ways of doing things, and it's expected that you'll sort of talk about the relationship. There's a meta conversation that happens about the relationship that is not happening in friendship. You don't often make friends with someone and say, okay, like, can we actually just, I'd love to like talk to you about how we communicate, or even, what are our expectations? What do you expect from me? What do I expect from you?
Right.
What are your deal breakers?
Right. What is a friendship deal breaker?
Exactly. Those are the kind of conversations that you don't often see in a friendship. In this case, we're going to call her Beth. With Beth and I, we were able to go there. Again, I think for me, as someone who is quite cerebral and is quite eager to go emotionally and intellectually deep with people, it's very fulfilling to have that. I think that there was this platonic friendship became a romantic relationship. The in-between is that the romantic relationship in the friend group continued on and off for quite some time. It puts a strain on the friend group. It does. Especially when there's rupture, repair. I get that. It was very painful. It was a very painful thing for me, and I think it was painful for my former partner. And I think that it's, that's not easy. It's not easy. Especially that volatility of being together, not being together is disorienting. And really, it was definitely top of mind for me for a long time. Having a romantic relationship in the context of a friend group adds pressure and dynamics. The friendship group is responding to the dynamics of the relationship.
Yep.
I think that when there's a rupture, and I think that there was a more permanent rupture with the romantic relationship, then I think that it creates fragmentation in the group. It's complicated. It is complicated. I think about something as simple as putting together an event.
Mm-hmm.
An event where, normally you'd have everybody there, but these two are broken up. What do you do?
Yeah.
They're not talking.
Yeah.
So are you going to invite both of them and know that it'll make both of them uncomfortable? Or do you invite the one you're closest to?
Yeah. How do you navigate those logistics?
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're back to logistics, are we?
It's always
Why
all
must
about
you
logistics.
always bring it back to logistics?
Because it's my favorite
You have
topic.
a sickness.
No, I don't. It's called being organized. It's called being organized.
Yeah, I just think we need to have a separate conversations about what is happening. But groups are groups. They're groups of humans trying to do the best they can. God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
We're all out here trying to do our best.
Oh, seriously.
You don't know what's going on in anybody else's head. Most of these ruptures were prompted by me. If I think about the way things worked out with the group fragmentation and why the wishbone broke the way it did, in a breakup situation where there's multiple ruptures, the simplest answer may be that the person prompting the ruptures is mistreating their partner in a callous and unfeeling way, an unthinking way. And that would be the reductive, simple stance to take, when of course there's so much more going on in the relationship that no one sees except for those two. Because you will be misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it. That is just it. You will be misunderstood. You have to just reckon with that. Another thing that stood out for me is this idea of, we stay true to ourselves and the real ones stick around.
Yes.
We see the effort in each other and unconditional love that allows us to navigate and work through conflict because it's worth it.
Yes, absolutely.
What's coming up for you as we talk about that? What's coming up for you right now?
I think for me, it's just, you're right. The people who are willing to put in the work to resolve whatever the conflict is are the ones that, in a roundabout way, prove to you that this is a friendship worth working on.
C'est ça.
Mm-hmm.
C'est ça. And not every friendship you're going to want to work on. But when both meet like that, it's beautiful and rare.
Yes.
I am struck by how rare. Aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. I've had friendships that have disintegrated into nothing, and there is no rhyme or reason or no explanation, and you have no idea what happened to this day because they didn't have the ability or the bandwidth at that time or ever to explain.
Yeah. It's really, really tough. Yeah. It is tough.
It is. Yeah.
And I think that it's disappointing when what you think is a close friendship isn't able to weather it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. What is going on for you right now? Tell me.
This is not about me. This is not about me.
Yeah. But that's it, right? Like, if I think about, I don't know, that's how I hope I show up.
Yeah. I think one admirable quality about you is that you have the courage to have those frank discussions with people or provide that communication with somebody, whereas a lot of people wouldn't have that courage to do that. They would, like you said, just block somebody or...
Yeah.
Communication, I think you value open, frank discussions.
I do.
I know with your past relationships, there has always been this want, platonic or romantic, whatever it is, to get closure. You want closure. I would like to know, how did we get here? What happened? Formulates the way that you engage with people.
Definitely. For me, okay, so I have ADHD, depression. These things are correlated, and also ADHD is heavily correlated with RSD, rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, something that's not that well studied because it so often looks like depression. How is it different from depression? It is a really pronounced and strong reaction to rejection that happens for a short amount of time. It can feel physically painful or very overwhelming when folks who are experiencing this feel it. And so for me, as someone who is neurodiverse, to find out even what that was so profound, because for my life, I think most of my life, rejection has been very difficult for me to handle. I can think of numerous examples where you continue to try to grapple with the misunderstanding. If only I, or if only they knew XYZ. I think that it is quite powerful. One of the things that I found helpful is there is this idea of cognitive distortions. So these are irrational thoughts that are shaping how you see the world, how you're feeling, and how you're acting. And that these come up normally. But if they are coming up a lot, or they're coming on in a really avalanche kind of way, they can be damaging. And so I'll read a few of them to you because I do find them helpful. So one of them is mind reading. So interpreting the thoughts and beliefs of others without evidence. And the example is, she wouldn't go on a date with me. She probably thinks I'm ugly. Personalization is the belief you are responsible for events outside your control. The example, my mom is always upset. She would be less upset if I did more to help her. And then magnification and minimization is when you exaggerate the importance of an event. So you believe that your own achievements are not important, but your mistakes and failures are very important. Then catastrophizing is seeing the worst possible outcome. I think that's pretty straightforward. And all or nothing. Always, never, ever. And, emotional reasoning. The assumption that emotions reflect the way things really are. I feel like a bad friend, therefore I must be a bad friend. There was something that I read about you try to find a story to explain your pain. When you feel a lot of pain, you look for a reason for why you are in so much pain. And so I guess that's the emotional reasoning talking.
Yeah, I can imagine that, like, you know, with physical pain, you can see it. Yeah, I have a broken leg, I have a cut on my arm. That's why I feel pain. It's right there in front of me. Emotional pain is a little more ambiguous and harder to identify the source of that emotional pain. And I think that with people, there is nothing more harsher than your own internal critic.
Oh, God. If she would just hush up.
Right?
If you would just take a siesta. One of the things that I've found helpful with intrusive thoughts is a thought record. I'll link it in the show notes, but essentially you take apart the powerful thought that's in your mind and you work to find evidence for and against it. And in that way, you sort of strip it from its distortive powers. It works. I've started to think about my friendships as concentric circles. If I'm the bullseye, then I have my ride or dies, you included, are really like my first circle. Then I have my friends that I have deep conversations with, but I'm not going to call them SOS or message them SOS. But we'll talk. We'll do deep things. Like we'll share things with each other. Then you get into more acquaintance territory. You're catching up like with a friend from before, and you're just catching up on each other's lives kind of thing. And then you're like in acquaintance territory where you just talk about the weather. I mean, not me, but some people.
So tell me about the weather.
Yeah.
Oh, small talk. Good.
I have a friend in my bullseye concentric circle, and we were talking about friendship, and we were talking a little bit about friendship loss, and she goes, I know that you would never deliberately do something to hurt someone. Mm-hmm. The most ironclad conviction in that. And this is someone who we've known each other less time, like not that much time. But I'm like, this person sees me. This person sees me. They are showing me something that I need to be reminded of. It's interesting because it begs the question, what does it mean if most friendships are time-bound? And perhaps that most friendships are not strong enough. They're not as strong as you think. Mm-hmm. So the fragility of them. I had friendships, sometimes it's one disagreement. That's it. That is it. It is time of death.
Right.
And that's the sort of thing but when you're in those joyful moments with a friend, you say, I love you, I'm so love that we're getting to know each other, glad we met.
Right.
And that creates a false sense of security. Mm-hmm. What's coming up for you as I say this?
Oh, I mean, yeah, of course, this false sense of security, and then you romanticize, or not romanticize, but think about the future and like plan for the future. And what does this look like?
Well, you definitely more than me.
Yes.
I mean, we know.
Yes.
We know what we are.
I'm at the planner.
We know.
You're not.
Having conversations like this is helpful because it is a form of time travel and a real trip down memory lane to remember what it was and to appreciate it for what it was. And if we accept that most relationships are temporary and ephemeral, isn't that what we have? Isn't that why we're doing it? Is because even though it does end, it was beautiful for what it was. And it's something that I struggle with because there's a recency bias where if something ends, it's painful when it ends, so you think about the ending. Or the ending casts a pall over all the beauty because you look at it through the lens of pain as opposed to looking at it in its purity. But I think something I'd like to get better at, like for example, like both of us lost our moms. You lost your mom at a young age, and I lost my mom, and I find it hard to remember her, the beautiful things, the wonderful things, without a tinge of sadness.
Yeah.
Because of the end.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that type of loss changes somebody irrevocably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the question I'm asking myself is, if I accept that this is, if I accept that this is what it is, you try. I'm proud that I tried. I'm proud that I showed up. I'm proud that I took these risks. And how can I just enjoy and remember all of the beauty of it? And accept that the chapter is closed. Accept, really,
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you think you would move through the end of like a relationship or a friendship?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just do the work and you do it all. I mean, the therapy, whether it's medication, therapy together, you remember all you have and reframe it. Continually reframe it. Because I think that when I would feel down, it was looking at my life from a place of lack. I miss my friends. I don't have my friends anymore. They still have each other. And that really hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts that the people that I help bring together are no longer in my life. However, I have many people who love me in my life. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that something that I cherish? And I think that wherever my attention goes is what grows. And so when I look at the lack, that's what becomes big in my head. But it makes it harder sometimes to see that someone's telling you, I love you so much. I love that we have this beautiful friendship, that the new depths we're getting to, or our relationship too, like seeing and being grateful for that those things shouldn't be taken for granted. So I do think it's a reframing and an attention turning to all what you have.
Yeah.
All what you have.
Yeah. I also think that like nothing heals like time, and you have to afford yourself the grace of time.
Totally 100%. And one of the reasons that I'm so glad we're doing this is because I was in a lot of pain and I wanted to transmute it. That is that when I was in it, I thought, how do people make music when they're in pain? How do they make art? How do they channel it into something that someone else could see and that they might feel the same, or that they might know that there's another human out there that feels exactly the same way that they felt, and that there's that shared humanity and a kinship across kilometers and years and time and life and death. And so when I was really in it, I wrote, but I wasn't in a place where I could create. And so that is why I'm so grateful to you for doing this with me, because this is what I feel I want to do, is share my humanity, share at least what I'm learning, the journey that I'm on, and what I've experienced, because this is what it means to be human.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one last question I have for you is, if you could go back to that version of yourself that was really hurting, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
You're good. You've always been good. You've always been enough. You're worthy. You've always been worthy. Always, always, always. You are enough. You are. And you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to get through this.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this with me.
You're welcome.
It means so much, and I found it was really quite cathartic. I hope you enjoyed it too.
I did. I really loved it, and you know, like I told you, I've been waiting. I'm sitting on the sidelines being like, when is it my turn? Because obviously this is all